Thank you so much, our young people here in the church. Indeed, you are called to carry the torch and the light of His name. I know it's a huge call, and yet this is what we are called for. That's why we have heavily invested on you every year on our camp, and it has been really a blessing to see the the kids growing up in the church, especially the teens turning into adults. And I believe it is one of God's wonderful gifts to the church. And so, brethren, um, I would be talking about, I would say, the trending topic of this week. It's our Young Leaders Camp. And I know that we have been doing this for 4 years now. And every year brings certain lessons, and we could see that the camp has been really positively affecting and influencing our young people here in the church. And all glory and praise to our Heavenly Father who has helped us to have a successful camp that has just concluded yesterday. And I could see it's undeniable if you would look into their faces. I could see that they have really enjoyed the camp. I originally wanted to show you pictures of the camp, but since we have played the video already, then I would say I would be using that instead as an introduction of this message. You see, brethren, through the video, I would say that you got a quick glimpse of what happened during this week for 14 campers, and also for the staff and other people who are involved in this noble cause that has been part of God's work. It was truly a fun-packed and I would say unforgettable week for many. I've heard some comments from the campers that this is by far the best camp ever. I did not invent that. I actually heard that from them. So I would agree. It has been a very it's a different type of camp for many. There was laughter, there was teamwork, there were challenges. I would say there were muddy shoes. Some has been beaten by insects. Some have experienced scratches on their arms. Some have felt the cold night biting through their bodies, and some have experienced sleepless nights. And yet, those are the joyful memories that we would be able to share with various, even the generations long before us. That once upon a time, in 2026, we had this Young Leaders Camp. And so, brethren, honestly speaking, every activity, every moment of the camp could inspire one sermon. It could inspire one sermon itself. If you would just look into everything that we've done, just give you a quick recap. During the camp, we have our Christian living classes, and each day we discussed the 12 scout laws, and I hope every camper has memorized the scout law. I'm still in the process of doing it, but I would say I could already name them slowly but surely. But in this afternoon, brethren, instead of just a quick recap, we have Christian living classes, and then we have sports activities, water polo, giant volleyball, the pickleball. We have dances. We had the confidence course and the wilderness skills lecture. We had the bonfire, which I believe would be first time for this camp. And we had a lot of what else? We had the open forum, and we have the novelty games or novelty night. So there's a lot of things that I hope that I have given you a quick glimpse of it. So instead of just going through everything, every activity, I would just highlight 4 activities that I would say would also teach us valuable lessons. Now, this is called the Young Leaders Camp. Okay, this is specifically for the young people, but for the adults and the older ones, stay with me because this is going to be something that is also applicable to every one of us. All right? So, to start off, brethren, let's go to the first point here. First point. The number one point I have here is obviously character counts. Okay? Character counts. Our entire camp's theme revolved around the 12 character traits of the Scout Law. Okay? Let me try if I could name them without looking at my notes. Number 1 is trustworthy, loyal, helpful. Letter F, friendly. Letter C is cheerful, courteous. Letter K is kindness, kind. Letter O is obedient. Cheerfulness, ayan pala, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. Okay, so we divided that into 4 days. So each day we talked about the three of them. So the first day, trustworthy, loyal, helpful. Second day, friendly, courteous, kind, and so on. Okay, so that's where our camp's theme revolved. And if you look into this, brethren, this Scout Law, these traits are not just good values that we need to embody, but they're actually godly values that we must emulate. Now, you might think, is that something that is biblical? Well, let's go to Galatians 5, verses 22 to 23. This actually reflects the fruit of the Holy Spirit. Okay? Galatians 5, 22, verse 23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. As you can see here, brethren, looking into these 12 traits of this, as part of the, this is actually inspired by the Scout Law. If you look into this list, brethren, I want us to imagine how much do we actually reflect all of them. Okay? Do we actually, are we really actually trustworthy, brethren? Are we loyal? Do we extend a hand? Are we helpful? Are we friendly? Courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful? Are we thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent? Now, I cannot possibly talk about all of them, but I just want to mention that these 12 traits are actually part of godly character. Okay? Our character actually counts. In a world where so many people think that integrity, honesty, those things are just for the weak, in this world where they look down upon character, it is actually us who would say, no, character counts. It actually counts, brethren. And I want us to realize, brethren, that character is not an accessory that we put on during the Sabbath service. It's not something that it's not a switch that we could just flip on and off like, oh, it's Sabbath service. Oh, there's the pastor. Oh, I'm with my friends in the church. I need to put on my character. Actually, no, brethren. Character should be deeply weaved through our life in such a way that it has become part of us. You see, brethren, character for Christians is not optional. It is something that we need to develop. You cannot develop character overnight. You cannot just wake up one morning and says, "Oh, I'm already trustworthy. Oh, I'm brave. I'm clean. I'm reverent." You cannot develop that overnight. It's a process. And when you fail to develop character, brethren, you would soon realize that it will not simply appear. Like a child, brethren, by default, they are not, by default, okay? By default, children are prideful, okay? By default, they think about themselves. They are self-centered, by default. It's natural. You don't have to teach your children, oh, put yourself first, okay? You don't do that anymore because by default, that's how human nature works. You don't have to tell them, oh, you need to be selfish. You need to be, you need to take advantage of others because that's already what they actually have. That's where character building comes in. You need to actually develop the character that we need to have. Now, people might debate people might debate what you believe in. They might not believe everything that you say. But when it comes to character, it is something that is irrefutable. They cannot deny a life that has a pattern of integrity, a pattern of character. When you are trustworthy, brethren, even if it costs you, all right? Even if you are loyal when it's unpopular, even when you are kind to those who are mean, people will start to notice. People will notice. There's something different about this teenager. There's something different about this person. And when that happens, brethren, you are following the command of Yeshua in Matthew 5, verse 16. And this actually ties into what the teenagers, the young people just sang. It says, in the same way, let your light shine before others that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Notice, brethren, it didn't say that let them hear your loud arguments, but it says let them see your good deeds. You know why sometimes, brethren, people don't like Christians? Because of their loud arguments. Instead of loving people, they would like to impress other people. I don't know if you have seen mga video like videos of Christian influencers. They would go to the streets, they would try to preach, they would intentionally try to irritate people, and then that's when they get likes, that's when they get views and comments because it's going to stir people up and they would have debates like that. But brethren, if you are a man of integrity, a person of character, just like what Yeshua says in Matthew 5:16, your character will become the loudest sermon you can preach. You know that, brethren? Especially for the young people. If you are in the school, if you have principles, may prinsipyo ka sa buhay, like they cannot talk you into doing bad things or cheat or things like that. They would know, oh, ito pala, itong batang to. May prinsipyo ang taong to. Your life would begin to look like a sermon that they see. That's why, brethren, this camp matters to a lot of people, especially for the young people. Because we believe it matters so much of what they become instead of what they just achieve. Let me just share with you something that is really interesting during the camp. All right? One of the hardest tasks that the campers need to accomplish is to start a fire. And I would say myself, it's really difficult. I tried it using the bamboo and then try to produce enough friction and then have produced heat. The heat should be so hot that it would start an ember. It's really difficult. You can ask anyone, kahit ako, kahit si Ivan, si Amiel, pero pagdating kay Leo, he's the expert to that. He could really start a fire. And so, on the day that the confidence course, the wilderness skills lecture, on that afternoon, the campers successfully created or started the fire. Okay? That was on Tuesday. And then on the night of Wednesday, they need to build a fire once again. And so, on that night, They were trying really hard. They were doing it, and then they were lining up. The boys were lining up because you cannot simply stop the friction because it's going to die down the heat. And so they were doing it, and then 1, 2, 3, go, ikaw naman. 1, 2, 3, go, ikaw. So they were doing it, and then it's as if na there's a glimpse of hope because it's smoking. Shh, musok na. And then by a few moments later, it started to rain. So the environment gets damp, and then the grass gets damp, the ground gets wet a little bit, and so it's getting harder. And so it's a little bit shameful to admit it, but I actually approached Leo. I said, Leo, what if katong isa na lang, katong murag puspuro? Let's use the flint. Let's use the flint na lang. Si Leo, ay no, they should really start the fire. Luoy naman, Lay, unsang oras na, kapoy na sila ba? Because I consider they're sweating. You could really see how they're doing their best and doing it. I said, Lay, ato na lang ng unsaon, tabangan. And so Leo said, no, we should still try to build the fire. And so Leo actually went to, and the other staff, they went on the other side and they created the fire. And so the staff were able to create the fire, and on the other side, the campers are still doing it. And I was expecting that the campers would stop because the fire is already there. And so they were, I was expecting a few moments from now they would stop. And yet they did not. They did not stop creating the fire, and they just do it over and over and over and over again until they were able to create the ember. And so I was so, wow. Napahiya pa ako doon kasi I was really thinking that they would not be able to do it. And so, when the bonfire comes, Kuya Charlie asked the boys a question. Why did you continue? Even though there's already a fire and yet you did not give up. Why did you continue? They answered, because we created the fire yesterday. That was the reference point, brethren. In this camp, we are creating a reference point where they can see, I did it one time and so I can do it again. I did something difficult because I did something difficult, and if I have gone through that mud tunnel once, and I can do this which is easier. Why would I give up? And so, brethren, I can tell you that when you are about to give up, just like me, character counts. It counts, brethren. That's why I was really impressed by these young people, that if they could do it here, the camp, imagine what they can do in their home. Imagine what they can do in their community, in their school. And so, brethren, this actually tells us that yes, character counts in the lives of our young people. You see, brethren, a person can be skilled, yet dishonest. Magaling, pero dishonest. Maro. Educated, yet arrogant. You have my PhD, my masters. Ang daming nakadikit na mga letras sa mga pangalan niya. And yet, they are arrogant. Oh, don't call me that. Call me attorney. Call me doctor. Call me this one. Call me by my title. Many people are successful, yet immoral. Did you know, brethren, that some of the smartest people here on earth are scammers? Ang galing manguto. They are using their talent, they're using their skills in fooling people. That's why, brethren, you can have all the knowledge and skills in the world, but if you don't have character, it will boil down to nothing. So, brethren, God is not primarily building talented, skilled, and capable people. He is more interested in developing righteous people. That's why we are having our camp. This would help us, the young people, because someday, these young people that you are seeing right now, they could become husbands, wives, they can become leaders, they can become mothers and fathers, and when they have built they have already built the foundation of character, they would not easily give up. Kasi may character na eh. Let's go to Luke 6 verse 47 to 48, brethren. Luke 6 verse 47 to 48. Whoever comes to me and hears my sayings and does them. So, it is not just hearing, but you have to do it. What will happen to him or her? I will show you whom he is like. He is like a man building a house who dug deep and laid the foundation in the rock. And when the flood arose, the stream beat vehemently against the house and could not shake it, for it was founded on the rock. Now, one of the ways to understand this analogy is that this foundation is our character. When you have that strong character, brethren, no matter what storms that comes into your life, no matter what difficulty or trial, you will not give up because you have already laid the character, your foundation, for that house to stay up. And that's what we want the young people and of course all of us to have. That when it happens, brethren, the house that we are building would not collapse. That's why every single day, God is shaping our character through our choices. He is shaping our character by how we speak. Are your words, brethren, building your character? He's building our character by how we react, how we treat people, and how we handle trials. Especially how we behave when no one is looking. That's character. So, brethren, when everything is said and done, when the dust finally settles, brethren, it is your character that will remain. Okay, so that's point number 1. Let's go to point number 2. Another, I would say, for me, a highlight of the camp is the bonfire. Who are you becoming? Now, this is very interesting because the bonfire is we have been actually requesting we would be able to do bonfire in the past. Kaya sabihan namin yung Eden Management, can we have bonfire? And during this past years, they will say, no, hindi pwede kasi may magagalit sila, makikita nila, mga ganyan. And I don't know what happened this year when we request it. They said yes. I don't know what's the difference between last year at saka ngayon, but actually it was really a pleasant surprise to hear that they would say yes to our request this year, the bonfire. And what's so amazing about this, brethren, is that, like what our pastor mentioned, it has always been raining. In the pre-camp week, it was raining and raining and raining. And so, on Sunday night, almost predictable, around 9 to 10 o'clock, it's going to rain. And then on Tuesday night, it also rained. Actually, nagkabaha-baha daw dito sa Davao. It was really strong. And so I was thinking, sure ako 100% uulan sa Wednesday night. Because that's the time that we are going to have the bonfire. Tapos I was hearing the other staff saying, hindi yan uulan, kaya yan. We just still have to go through it. And I was thinking, ano ba yan? I'm sure hindi tayo handa. Tapos I was bringing the tarp, the blue orange tarp kasi sabi ni Kuya Charlie dalhin ko daw. I was thinking, this is not enough. If it's going to rain hard, sigurado kung mababasa yung mga bata. Sigurado babalik tayo sa mga Shangri-La to, mga batang to. Di ba grabe ka negative, no? I was kind of thinking, hindi talaga. So we went on Wednesday we pushed through with the activity. Tuesday, sorry. On the Tuesday night, we pushed through with the activity. And I was thinking, ayan na, kumukulog na because I was recording. And I'm seeing the clouds getting near. At yun, tama ako, umulan talaga. It's raining, it's starting to drizzle, and they say, kawawang mga bata to. And I was thinking that it's going to it's going to get harder. The rain would get harder. But lo and behold, it stopped. Can you just imagine, brethren? In my thinking, it's actually kind of impossibility. Kasi we have been planning this camp for many weeks now, and we don't say na tawag nito, many months ago, we don't see or we cannot predict the weather. Like Kuya Danny, ano na lang, May 4 to 8, sure ako dyan, sunny yan. You cannot predict that months ago. And so, on May 19, on the night of May 19, we cannot really predict if it's going to rain or not. And all the predictors says it will rain. Can you just see, brethren, how God works behind the scene? I was really amazed. Oh, grabe. Ang galing talaga ng Panginoon, because if it's going to rain, it's really going to dampen the activity. And tawag nito, this is also the first time that we're going to do it. Then bakit it's really going to it's going to ruin the activity. And so in that moment, I realized that God is actually have already scheduled the weather ahead of time. Alam niya. Oh, hindi I will ubusin ko na lang sa Sunday, Monday, ubusin ko niyang ulan para pag Tuesday, sakto, hindi ulan. And I was really amazed and kind of, nahiya sa sarili ko because I was thinking negatively about that. But yet, God still shows His power over the weather. And so going back to the bonfire, it is also my first time to see such huge fire. Kasi there were the Eden staff actually set up a very tall, mas matangkad pa sa akin na logs. I think it's from a house. Siguro it's from a house that they demolished and they put it up. And so it was really big. And so when it was lit, the more you get closer, the more it gets warmer. And the more you get more closer, the more it gets hotter, obviously. And so I was looking at the back and I could see the young people coming together. And that bonfire, no matter how hot or how strong the fire is, it's going to fade. It's going to fade. Kahit gaano kalakas the fire, it would still going to die down. And when the fire goes out, what will you be bringing to your home? Sa mga campers natin, sa mga staff, what are you going to carry with you in your home when everything is said and done? Because that bonfire, actually, for me, it represents the camp. Because the camp actually helps us, or it starts a fire within us. If you are in the camp, if you are a camper, it's going to really inspire you. It would motivate you to do the right thing. It's going to help you to see the positive side of life. Oh, so this is what will happen if we are going to be cheerful, if we are going to be encouraging, if we are going to be brave. So these are the results. And so, just like the camp, like the bonfire, the camp inspires the campers. It creates an ember, a fire within them. But like the bonfire, the camp has to end. Whether you like it or not, it will end. But the question is, what will you be carrying with you when you go back home? When the fire fades, brethren, what will you be carrying home? So, let's go to Luke 24, verse 30 to 32. Luke 24, 30 to 32, it says, Now it came to pass, as he sat at the table with them, that he took bread, blessed and broke it, and gave it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they knew him, and he vanished from their sight. So this is a story where the disciples have encountered Yeshua. Just like in the camp, we have encountered Yahweh in the camp. So what happened to them, brethren? And they said to one another, "Did not our heart burn within us while he talked with us on the road and while he opened the scriptures to us?" There's a light burning inside. And unlike the bonfire, brethren, the light that has been lit inside your hearts, especially to the campers, is not going to die down. But it only fades if you allow it. That's why, brethren, in 2 Timothy 1 verse 6, it says, "Therefore I remind you to stir up the gift of God which is in you through the laying on of my hands." The word stir up, brethren, came from the Greek word that means to fan, paypayan, to kindle, revive, inflame, strengthen, and being zealous. So, you see, brethren, this is like this ember within us. This ember within us, every one of us. We need to stir it up because by default, it will die down. Kung papabayaan mo lang, it will die down. Just like when you are coming from the camp, you are all lit up, you are very inspired, motivated. I'm so happy, I'm so glad, I'm so energetic. Let's do it. But a few months, give it a few months, give it a few days, weeks, or months. When the time comes, the moment you step out, or on Sunday tomorrow, the moment you go back to your house, temptation will start to knock. It will start to knock. Temptation would start to show up on your door. There would be your barkadas, your friends. When you left your home for YLC, they will be coming back. The time when you get bored and get your cell phone and just have mindless scrolling and then the brain rat games, they will come back. And when that time comes, brethren, I want all of us to remember, character counts. You see, brethren, the relationships that you have left behind you during the 5 days, when you go back, andyan pa rin yan. There might be some of us who have certain relationships that are outside of God's will, and when you go back, that relationship is still there. You might have this suitor, may nanliligaw sa'yo, mabait naman siya. He looks good. Parang he really cares about me. He makes me seen. Pinapansin niya ako, ang sarap sa feeling. Parang ribisco. Diba? And yet, brethren, I tell you, if that relationship is outside of God's will for you, that will really lead you to a dark path. It will not lead you to something that is good. That's why, brethren, when you go back to your home, I want you to really trust God and not your feelings. I know. I've been there. Being a teenager, may crush ka, may nagpapakilig sa'yo, may nagpapakitang gilas, talagang you feel so special. It feels good. But what I want you to understand, brethren, is that they are just temporary. And when you really follow and just trust your feelings in making decisions in your life, I can tell you, brethren, it would almost always lead to disaster. That's why, brethren, I'm asking you once again, when the fire fades, what will you be bringing with you at home? So, this is a very important question that each and every one of us should ask. Now, there are a lot of temptations, a lot of bad things, the negative influences, the things that we do back home. Those things could actually dampen the fire within us. So you need to ask yourself, are these friends, yung mga kaibigan ko ngayon, will they lit the fire inside me or will they pour down water on it? Will this set of people would help me burn inside or would it die down my fire inside? We need to actually choose the right people around us. So, unless you fan, paypayan, you fan the flame inside you, it will ultimately die down. So what does fanning the flame look like? It looks like opening your Bible, not because your parents told you to do so, but because you are spiritually hungry. That's fanning the flame. It looks like choosing your community with intention. It looks like getting on your knees in the morning before the world gets loud and praying to Yahweh to help you keep the fire burning inside you. So, brethren, I want you to realize you are not meant to stay on this Christian walk alone. You have your brethren. You have your family who would support you. So, brethren, the true measure of success of this camp is not how many activities you have done, how many food you have eaten, or how well we have stuck to with the schedule. That's not the measure of this. That's not the measure of success for this camp. You know what's the real measure of success? It's how much it has positively changed you. Alam nyo, we can have 7 days, even 14 days of camp, but if it doesn't change you, it doesn't really mean anything at all. It doesn't mean anything at all. In James 1 verse 22, it says, James 1:22, but be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. The goal of the camp is not to have just a temporary inspiration. We want lifetime change in your life. We want transformation that would actually last your lifetime. That's the main goal. So, brethren, I hope we don't forget that second point. Let's go to point number 3. Okay? Point number 3. The confidence course. Character is forged through trials. Character is forged through trials. Now, if you haven't been in the camp, there's one activity that would actually, they would consider it as one of the most challenging parts of the camp. It's the confidence course. Okay, we don't, like our pastor mentioned, we don't actually call it obstacle, but we call it confidence course, because the main goal of the course is to increase your confidence that you are able to do hard things in life. Now, let me just give you a quick overview of what is happening during that time. During the confidence course, we go through the wilderness trek, or we're going to wilderness trail. But we don't just stay on the trail. We actually go off course. That's why, if you have seen some of the footages, you would see that the campers went through the woods. Okay, the unpaved, the muddy, the untamed path that we take. So we go through that. And it's not just flat terrain. We have to go down. We have to go up. We have to go through the river. We have to go through the boulders, the huge boulders. So there's a lot of challenges that the campers have to go through. And not only that, the confidence course or the wilderness trail that we took is filled with so many plants that is, ang tawag nito? They could easily irritate your skin. It's very itchy. And not only that, there's mosquito, there's ants, there's also spiders, and maybe some snakes just lurking around, waiting to be spotted, but we didn't spot a snake during the, I don't know if you have spotted none. Just once during the Shangri-La 2, there was as a rat, I think it's a rat snake. So we just move it away. So yeah, so that confirms that there are snakes. Okay, so during that time, we finally have to go through that the woods, and then we have 3 confidence courses, or what do you call that? Confidence stage challenges. The first one was the zip slide. Okay, they need to go through or zip through the river or over the river. And then next is the log bridge, where you need to balance your body going through that log. And then finally, the ultimate challenge, the mud tunnel. Okay? And what's quite fascinating about this year's mud tunnel, a lot of people, a lot of campers, and even the seasoned staff said that it's the toughest mud tunnel that they ever gone through. Okay? And I didn't go through it, but some of the staff were able to go through it, and they would tell you it's really tough. It's so tight, and you cannot really move your body inside, and you really need someone to push you forward just to go through that mud tunnel. And once you go through that, you would be filled with so much mud. Some of them have scratches all over them. They have ant bites. Some have spiders on their hair. There's mud. So it's really difficult and challenging. Now the question you might have is why should we go through that wilderness the confidence course? Why not just stay in the room? Grabe ko nakita yung room namin, ang ganda. But it's the place is so cozy. There's the bed is so soft with the pillows. I think the expensive pillows. So it's really comfortable inside. And you might be thinking, maybe some counselors, Kuya Ruel, Kuya Felix, do we really have to go through this? I've heard there's so many snakes. I heard there's so many ants. There's so many things that you might get hurt or you might get injured. Why do we have to go through that? Well, this is the answer, brethren. Because character is forged in the fire. It's forged in trials. You cannot develop character in comfort. Have you tried that, brethren? You just sleep all day. You sleep on the couch. You just watch TV, watch Netflix or whatever you want to watch. And by the time you get up from the couch, you instantly develop a six-pack abs. Have you tried that? You might try it, but it will never happen, right? You might try to eat so many food because it's really delicious. Ice cream, very sweet. Ang sarap. And then expect in the next morning that you have biceps, you have huge legs. That doesn't work that way. Character is developed through difficulties in life. Now, this is very important, brethren, because a lot of people likes comfort. Kahit naman ako, every one of us, I would say, kung papapiliin ka, if there's a choice, why not? Just choose the more comfortable option. And yet, brethren, there's what we call character is only developed in trials. Let's go to Romans 5, verse 3 to 4. Romans 5, verse 3 to 4. And so, this is actually our infographic today. Romans 5, 3, 4. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings. That's just the opposite of what people think. Grabe, glory in our sufferings? Nahihirapan ka na nga, doon ka pa mag-glory? Why? Because we know that suffering produces perseverance. You see that, brethren? Suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces character. Yun pala. That's the key. When you go through suffering, you will produce perseverance that will lead to character. And when you have that character, you will have hope. Now, I'm not saying, brethren, that we should deliberately seek out pain and suffering. That's not the point of going through trials in life. The point is having a different perspective on how we see trials. You know what, brethren? In every trial you go through, there's a lesson that you will learn. Think about that, brethren. Think about of any trial or difficulty that you went through. There's a lesson that you'll through, including the mud tunnel. If you would ask our campers, brethren, if you would ask them, sino ba? For example, Milrich, Ano ba yung pinaka-highlight ng camp mo? Or si Ariana, anong highlight? Or si Shemuel, anong highlight ng camp mo? You would rarely hear them, ang highlight is yung natulog kami sa kwarto. Yung it's very cozy, comfortable. You will not hear that. I would say, I haven't heard anyone say that. But what they will say, ay kuya, yung mud tunnel, grabe, sobrang hirap, pero nakaya ko. Diba? And I heard this, I heard one of the campers saying that, I really thought that I could not go through it. Ang hirap. I was looking at the tunnel. I was having self-doubt. And yet, she was able to go through it. And because of that, her confidence grew. Ay, kaya ko pala. Well, you cannot have that kind of confidence if you just stayed on your bed. Diba? That's why character is something that you would develop in trials. Now, this is one of the analogies that we have used before. The sword, di ba? If you are going to compare, okay? If you are going to compare how a sword is developed or created, it is something that it has to go through fire, okay? When I was a child, one of our blacksmiths is actually the father of Amiel, Melrich, and Earl, si Tito Ramil. He's actually our blacksmith. When I was still young, I'm really fascinated on how he does it, because we are producing the lagaraw. We are not producing sword, but we are producing lagaraw. So the the raw material comes from, the murang shock ng sasakyan. Oh, lip spring. That's the raw material. So if you're going to look at it, how can that turn into a lagaraw? Ano bang lagaraw sa English? Sickle, maybe sickle. So what they do is this. We have this huge oven, and this oven is lit, and there's a fan below it where it blows so much air that it would brew the fire inside, and then they would put the metal, and then it's not enough to simply put it in the metal. You have to pound it, bang, isa pa, bang, over and over again. You have to hit it hard, hammer it down so that it would turn into a lagaraw. And you see, brethren, if you are that lagaraw, we just use the analogy. If you are that lagaraw, your character is being formed, being pounded. You would say, kasakit. I cannot take it anymore. It's so hot. It's so painful. Why do I have to go through it? Because God is forming your character. You want to stay like the spring, yung raw materials? So be it. If you want to stay like that, then just stay like that. But you cannot become a useful lagaraw. You have to go through the fire. That's what exactly we're doing with you, the campers. You have to go through the confidence course. And when you have become a sword or lagaraw, it becomes really useful, and it's not easily it's strong. It's strong, and it's durable. Now compare that when I was just waiting for the next activity, I was looking at the children, and one of the toys that they were using or playing with is clay. Okay, I don't know if you have seen it. They are using clay, and they are really talented. Ewan ko kung sino gumawa nun. They are making penguins, turtle. They are making a carabao, a deer, a tree. So it's really, I cannot make them, but those things actually are also formed, di ba? They are squeezing, but they are not like the lagaraw. Just a small bump, if you just put it there, eventually it will go out of shape. A small turtle like this, or this used to be turtle siguro, and when you squeeze it out, it will go out of form. And yet tawag nito, it was formed into something before, but just a little bit of force, it actually just deformed. So, you have to choose which character will you have. Will you have the character of a lagaraw, of a sword, or will you have a character of a clay? The choice is yours. Now, a lot of us would say, oh, I want to be the lagaraw. I want to be the sword. But only a few of us are willing to go through the process. Ang daling sabihin, di ba? Gusto ko maging sword, maging lagaraw, very strong. Pero only a few of us are willing to go through the mud tunnel, willing to go through the log bridge or the zip line or any difficulties in life. These things actually going to develop and help you have that character. Okay? So it's your choice. Will you be a lagaraw or a clay? Now, if you're going to look into the Bible, there are actually examples of people who went through difficulties, and that's when they developed their character. Take, for example, Joseph. Okay? Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers. He was thrown into a pit. Actually, he was hated by his brothers. Talagang galit na galit sila dyan to the point that they want to kill him. But thankfully, he was only thrown into the pit. Okay? He was sold as a slave, as a young teenager. He was falsely accused, imprisoned. And every time it seems that parang his situation would improve, another problem comes in. Okay? They got worse. But when Joseph finally stood before Pharaoh, we realize that all those difficulties are preparation for what he's going to become. Now, do you think Joseph would be able to stand before Pharaoh if he did not go through those trials and difficulties? Actually, those years were years of preparation. How about David, the shepherd boy who was anointed king? He was already anointed, and yet he spent many years on the run, being hunted by Saul. He was hiding in caves, and he was even betrayed by people he trusted. And yet, those years has developed his character to become one of the greatest kings of Israel. How about Abraham? He was called to leave everything familiar, everything behind. He went, and yet he didn't know where to go. He was tested over and over again until he was asked to sacrifice his own son. And that's the time he was called the father of the faithful. You see, brethren, in Hebrews 12 verse 11 says, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. So, brethren, this tells you that when you go through trials in life, it will help you build your character. And finally, brethren, let's go to the final point here, the web of life. Okay? We are better together. The web of life. Now, during the novelty games, brethren, we have this one particular game called the web game. Okay? So, there's a piece of yarn that says one camper would be holding, and then they would pass it to another camper, and they would introduce themselves, and then another yarn is going to be given to another and another. And so, at the end of that game, there would be a web that has been formed. Okay? There's a web that is been formed. And this web is one of the beautiful pictures of what the church looks like. It tells you that everyone is connected. We are all connected by this piece of yarn. And this tells you, brethren, that we are a church, the church of belongingness. You see, brethren, a lot of us came from different locations. Yung mga campers natin, some of them came from different barangays, came from different families, came from different congregations. And yet, when they come to the camp, that when they sit within that circle, that web, it shows that they are all connected. And I believe this is one of the most important truth that our campers need to understand. When you finally go home, brethren, some of us might be living just near, some are far, a few miles or a few kilometers away from here. I want you to remember that you belong to a family, a spiritual family, that you don't have to go through difficulties in life alone, and you have to remember that you have someone you can rely on. I want you to remember, brethren, because just like that web, brethren, when you let go of just one camper who would let go of that string, that web would start to sag. Bababa yan siya. And when someone pulls through the string, everyone would feel the ripple effect of that force. One of the lessons that I want us to understand here is that your character will not only affect yourself, it would also affect other people. When you are cheerful, brethren, when you are trustworthy, when you are brave, you don't know who you are inspiring to be of the same quality. Your example is going to affect a lot of people. You just don't know it. How you live your life, brethren, is also going to serve as an example to other young people, young teenager, or an example to other brethren. So I want us to remember this, that when we go through our life, when we go back to our home, when we go back to our daily routine, remember that you have a family in the church. And I want us, you know what, brethren, in this world that is divided, full of conflict, I want this church, our church, to be a place of sanctuary, a place where the young teenager could feel free to share their life with us and to have each other, support each other, just like the web of life that we have created in the camp. So, brethren, in this year's camp, the Young Leaders Camp, I hope that everyone has learned, and I hope that it has inspired, it has kindled something within them, it has really helped them in such a way that they would become future leaders, not just today in this lifetime, but also a future leader in the kingdom to come. So, when the bonfire has faded, brethren, when the games have ended, when the accommodations are empty, the question remains, what will you bring with you in your home? Will you become more trustworthy? Will people rely on you? Will you become more loyal, braver? You'll become more obedient? You'll become more Christ-like? Because at the end of life, brethren, God is not looking for talented people. He's looking for people who have done their best in developing character. So, brethren, I want us to remember this. In everything that we do, in every decision that we make, I want you to tell yourself, character counts. I want you to remember that even though people are cheating, lying, and stealing, remember, character counts. When you feel tempted to become unkind to other people, remember, character counts. When you're about to give up, remember, character counts. The journey does not end here, brethren. It actually begins here. Every week, every day, every quiet moment of obedience, every act of courage would help us develop that character. And so, brethren, I would like us to end with this verse found in Philippians 1 verse 6. Being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of our Messiah, Yeshua. Hello friends, I need your help. If this is not too much to ask, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. This should only take 5 seconds of your time, but this simple gesture would help me reach more people and share the Word of God with the rest of the world. You have the power to make a difference in people's lives.